I'm Mark Mazzetti, Washington Investigations Editor for the New York Times. I'm joined by Raymond Davis, who has written a book about his time in Pakistan and the events that led to his imprisonment and eventual release, and the international crisis that ensued. So I wanted to see if we could start at the beginning of this saga, which is January 2011. You were a contractor for the consulate in Lahore, Pakistan, and what happens on the day that changed your life?
Okay, yes, as a security contractor, tasked to protect people. Went out on a normal routine drive. I haven't been in Lahore for quite a while. Got stuck in traffic and at an intersection, and that's when, motorcycle rolls up, gun comes out, and then I react.
What triggered your reaction?
Everyone in a war zone has a gun, basically. Guns are out all the time. But the moment someone utilizes the gun and starts to rack it, that's when things start to heat up. So during that time, I start to go for my gun, and then as his gun starts to come up to aim, I start shooting. According to our rules of engagement, we are allowed to utilize deadly force if we are threatened.
You say in your book that you were a government contractor, security consultant. You has been widely reported by many, including the New York Times, that you were working in a capacity for the CIA as a contractor. Are you allowed to talk about that?
Well, the thing is everyone was, like Pakistan, was so quick to rush to get out that I was a spy. Mm-hmm. They wanted to embarrass the U.S. for whatever reason they had going. I don't know.
But you're not disputing that part of your job involved security work for...
I protected anyone at the embassy that needed it.
Okay. You're in jail for weeks, and
yes.
As you said, in and out of court with different representation. And at what point did you think that you were never getting out?
You don't let your mind wander that far. But after it was over with, yes. It was a sobering thought to think that, I had a 2.5-year-old son that I was probably never going to see again.
The most dramatic turn in the whole case comes when you're charged with murder in one session in court in the morning, and then the same day the court changes to a Sharia court in Pakistan, and there's an announcement that there had been an arrangement of blood money. Can you explain what the arrangement was?
They came in and said, hey, the family agreed to dow it, and I was like, what? And then the attorney walked off, and Carmela started to explain.
And who is Carmela?
She's the consulate general,
mm-hmm.
Carmela Conroy. She begins to explain to me what has transpired, and says, hey, they're going to charge you, and then they're going to do, the Sharia court, and then we're going to go. You're going to be out today. It didn't register at that exact moment that it was actually going to happen. So I just sat there and waited, and, it took a 5-hour court proceeding to get through it.
You became, as you wrote, a sort of boogeyman in Pakistan, yes. Where and having traveled there to report on your case, certainly saw it even years after you were released. There was your name was invoked by various groups as the case study of America's secret war inside Pakistan. Does it even now sort of dawn on you, or is it still hard to comprehend how this incident not only changed your life, but it basically was led to an unraveling of U.S.-Pakistani relations?
Yes, I understand how big it is. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't understand why it had to be that large. Yeah, it was way bigger than it ever should have been.
You didn't know this at the time, of course, but several weeks after your release, the United States carries out the raid that killed Osama bin Laden. Did you ever put the two together, or did anyone?
I figured it out once the raid went down. I was like, oh.
That it was that they needed your case resolved. Correct. In order to lay the groundwork for actually doing the operation.
Correct. I told a few of the officials that I had talked to, different senators and congressmen. I said, you know, it would have been disappointing to me had they not got me out and then not carried out the raid. It would have been disappointing to miss that opportunity, but was very thankful, you know, that we were able to get through that session and get me out.
Do you feel remorse for what happened?
You know, anytime there's a loss of life, there's a sadness to it. But people choose to make their own decisions. If we were driving down the road and I hit an innocent kid, it would crush me. It would crush any of the guys who work over there because an innocent life is lost. But someone who makes a decision to take your life in a war zone, no, I feel no remorse for protecting myself.
You come back to the United States after your weeks in jail. What happened then? What was your life back in the United States like?
You know, you hear guys, some of the guys say, oh, you know, they'll recount a story of what they were doing overseas or whatever, and they're like, you know, I put my red dot on his head and pulled the trigger, and that was beautiful. There's nothing beautiful about war, nothing. But coming home and watching your kid run through the sprinklers and laugh uncontrollably, that's beautiful.
So why did you decide to write a book?
I wanted my son to hear the story from me because a lot's been written. And it's kind of a healing process too.